What's going on YouTube? Steven the Salon Guy here. Today we're talking about men's hairstyles a little bit on the longer side. So I've recently posted something in my community tab and asked you guys what you wanted to see more of. A lot of you like the hair tutorials and more step-by-step stuff. But I did get a lot of comments from people saying that they like my longer men's haircuts, something that's not, traditional kind of tight fade or something. And I agree, there's a lot more that goes into understanding those types of haircuts. And I'm gonna be doing a haircut today that is kind of like on the medium side. So I think this may be a really good winter haircut, something through, I'd say like November into January. It's gonna keep the head warm, which I wish I could do. But I wanna kind of point out a few things to you guys when it comes to growing out your hair for the winter or just in general, and having the right style and what should you do, what should you tell your barber. There's like a whole bunch of things. So I really am gonna make this video a fairly in-depth video. All right, and again, let me know in the comments below if you like my more in-depth stuff, explaining to you guys the process of growing, just tips and things like that, little hair hacks. So when it comes to growing out your hair, right, that's kind of one of the biggest questions I get is how do I grow it out? And what do I say to my stylist or my barber, things like that. And I always say, first of all, you need to have the right person cutting your hair. Because me, for example, if somebody wants, I can actually grow someone's hair out into a style. And I'm basically, I know it sounds weird because it's not growing on my head, but I know how to cut it to help it grow out. And you need to find somebody who can see the same vision as you and also know how to execute that haircut. So for example, if you're like, oh, I want to grow out my sides, if a guy takes clippers to your head and goes like a #1 and you're like, what did you just do, moron? Like, that's not cool. So what you need to really understand is what kind of style are you looking for and what do you need to do to get it there. Sometimes you do need to cut hair in order for it to grow into the right shape, but it's how you cut it and what you cut, right? You could cut areas off, like say the back here, you can cut a lot of this off, but then leave a lot more length up here. So it kind of creates more of a different illusion and it's gonna grow out a bit more balanced. If you don't have the proper shape or the proper haircut, this could end up looking like a mullet, and you wanna grow your hair out and this is gonna be down here and this is gonna be, only to here still, and you're gonna be like, I have a mullet, I don't want that. So it really depends on the kind of look you want, the stylist or barber cutting your hair, and and what really your end goal is. So in today's video, I'm gonna do a bit of a more step-by-step haircut. And also, I get a lot of questions from you guys asking, what mannequins do I use? I do use a few different types, but this is Samuel from Pivot Point. I do love Samuel, and it's really a great mannequin. Pivot Point has some really, really high quality mannequins for men and women. I also have a Pivot Point stand, which is really, really cool, as you can see right in through here. And, I like using their stuff. I also have some other mannequins from another brand that I used to use a lot more, but today we're working on Samuel, and I'm ready to go. Let's get started. So since I'm doing a step-by-step haircut and tutorial here, I am gonna be talking quite a bit. So if you don't like to hear me talking, then too bad. But, for all the people who say, oh, you talk so much, well, I'm a professional hairstylist and I'm an educator. My channel is about teaching and it's about bringing knowledge to people. So imagine someone who's teaching who is horrible at communication. So for the 12-year-olds who, comment that, sorry. Now, what I'm doing in my haircuts, what I always like to do is just basically separate the front from the back, and that's called the division point. The only reason I do that is simply because I like to keep everything separate, right? I like to realize that, this is the back and I'm focusing on this. This is the size and the front, and it just makes life a lot easier for me. So this haircut, what we're doing is I wanna keep a little bit of weight throughout here and a little bit of length, but I do wanna take this a bit shorter down into the nape line, or the neckline. I don't wanna go super short. I'm not using clippers at all. I'm literally just, I would almost say like a normal men's haircut. I'm gonna get a lot of people questioning like, oh, what's the name of this haircut and this and that. And I'm like, you know what? It's just, to me, a medium length layered haircut, right? So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna establish my length right in the back, cutting it straight across like so. And I'm not using any tension. I'm just literally cutting a straight line. And this is going to be kind of the base of the haircut, right? This is the entire base of the haircut. And what I'm doing is I'm going to bring this down. And literally, this is the foundation of the haircut. This is the foundation of the haircut. And what that means is that this is where the haircut is going to be the outline, right? Think of it as the outline. And that's why I spend a lot of time on cutting the length or the base, even on my women's haircuts, just because I like to establish how long is this really going to be. Because now you can see we have some shape in here. This is the foundation of it. So what I then do is connect the sides into the back. And again, how short are we going? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my fingers upwards like this. And now we're creating and continuing our line, right? Our base. So right now I'm connecting the back into the sides. You can, it really, again, it depends on you, how long you want your hair, how short you want your hair. You know, we are going to be leaving some hair over the ears, right? I'm not going like super, super short around the ears. I'm just kind of leaving a little bit of length in through here to kind of taper this back. And if I do feel I want to get rid of some of this, then I'll just go in after. See these longer pieces right in through here? Those are from the sideburns. This is what I like to do. Just get rid of it, right? Just get rid of it. So again, we're only establishing the length. We haven't really gone in and started doing any layers yet. This is just the foundation. But the best part about this, and the most important, is this, the connection. Having everything flow back. So you see now how it all kind of works together. So let's do the same thing on the other side. Also, what's very, very important when cutting is that you basically are standing directly in front of where you're cutting. That's what's most important about haircuts. Posture, body positioning, hand positioning, arm positioning, everything is really, really, really important. And I've been doing this over 25 years now, so a lot of it pretty much comes natural to me, but I always make sure that I follow those rules. There we go, like from the other side, get rid of those sideburns, and then now you can see everything is connecting, going back. And if there's any hairs that are longer, we can bring them in, and then don't forget, we are gonna layer this. So right now what we've done is we've just established the base. That's it. We haven't really done any work on the top of the head or anything. We're just establishing this. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to start the layers, all right? Now let's just clean this off. You always want to make sure that you do clean off your client if there's hair all over the place. And a lot of people ask me, Steven, why do you use mannequins all the time? And I go, you know what? They don't talk back. I can do whatever the hell I want on them. I can do these haircuts when I want because I am a fairly busy person. And it's just so much easier. And mannequins are not easy to cut. I'm gonna be honest with you. If you can make a mannequin look good, then, that's awesome because mannequins are a lot harder than people think. So now we're gonna start the layering process. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm combing everything straight out from the head. I'm starting in the side over here and we're cutting the hair to where it's about, I'd say 1.5 inches to 2 inches long as far as the length. And basically the entire haircut is cutting 90 degrees or pulling everything straight out from the head. That's the best way, in my opinion, to create a balanced, layered shape, is pull everything straight out from the head, okay? And basically cut it. But what you don't want to do is start over-directing and, not cutting pieces or bringing hair to areas that it doesn't need to go, and that's really crucial when it comes to hair cutting, is understand why you're cutting it, but like where you're cutting and what the hair is going to do, where it's going to live. One time, many, many years ago, somebody said to me, every hair not only needs to be in place, it has to have a place, which I was like, oh wow, really, really connected with me because the hair has to fall someplace on the head and fall properly. And a bad haircut, it won't be in place, that's for sure. So as you can see here, what I'm doing is I'm pulling the hair straight out from the head, which means that's its place. Its place is right from where it grows, which is, I think, how I like to cut hair, and that's my opinion. So now what I'm doing is I'm just changing body positioning, so I'm not hurting my back or anything, or I'm not, overcompensating. Hand positioning is really important, finger positioning, because your fingers basically dictate the whole haircut, right? If I hold my fingers a certain angle, that's going to produce a different end result. So you have to really understand why you're cutting the hair a certain way. And that's really, really crucial when it comes to haircuts. All right, so now we're continuing again. I'm combing everything straight out, and I'm combing straight up. Now you may see, don't get scared, because remember, we haven't cut up here yet. So when you do cut layers, you may see a few shelves or lines in the hair because we haven't connected or blended this over it. So don't freak out if you're cutting layers and you're like, wait a minute. Now, what you do need to worry about is if you do cut layers and you're kind of beyond or past the areas that you just cut, and then you start seeing all sorts of chomps and lines and all sorts of stuff that looks a little off, that's when you need to worry. Because when that happens, something went wrong along the way. And you definitely do not want your clients to be having a butchered haircut. All right, so again, this is a fairly straightforward process. For the people who are wondering, oh, can I do this to myself? Good luck. I don't really suggest doing it. If you can, more power to you, but it's a lot for me to even do it as a professional. So if you can do these haircuts on your own, then good luck. But I definitely don't suggest doing it because it's somewhat advanced, and you may not be able to see, or you may cut yourself or whatever. So I really don't suggest doing it. But I do have many viewers here, and let me know in the comments at some point if you are somebody who cuts your hair yourself and watches my videos to help, because I really want to know. And I have had people over the years tell me, oh, Steven, or Salon Guy, like, your videos have helped me be able to cut my hair better and all that. And I'm like, that's cool. And I've actually had people submit photos to me of haircuts that they've done on their kids, or they've done on the husbands, or the husband's done on the wife. And some people just purely rely on my videos to cut everyone's hair, which is very flattering. But at the same time, I'm like, good luck. If you don't know what you're doing, then best of luck to you. But if you can follow along, that's great. I try to make things very, very obvious and very clear and concise for you guys. Again, I'm a professional, so I'm not really looking to teach non-professionals how to cut hair. But at the same time, if you are just a regular consumer, or not a professional, and you learn stuff from this and you end up wanting to cut your hair, or it helps you understand more about haircuts, then that's awesome. All right, so what we're doing now is, for the most part, the back is pretty much done. And now it's time to just go in and start really checking everything and blending these areas in through here to make sure it's all balanced. What I like to do is I like to comb the hair multiple times in different directions, just so I can see how the hair is falling. And this is a really great technique, because it also, any hair that is out of place, like I mentioned before, if it doesn't have it's not in the right place, it'll kind of jump out and it'll be very, very obvious, meaning pieces will be a lot longer than other pieces. So the best way, in my opinion, and you can see I'm fairly aggressive with this, where I'm not doing little combs like this, or doing the friggin', like a surgeon taking perfectly clean sections. No, we don't have time for that stuff. And I know a lot of people do it to look cool, but yes, precision is important. But if you're a stylist or you're a barber and you're trying to get through, you have other clients, and you know, you could still be just as efficient, then get it done. Get the job done, right? Don't spend 45 minutes trying to create these ridiculous, you know, sections that like, because you're trying to look cool. Just let's get through the haircut, you know, and you guys can do it. You guys can do it. All right, so now that we're finishing up the back, the key part to any of haircuts is, and I mention this all the time, is connecting this into this. That's why when you're cutting these layers, you may or may not see a light line or shelf in through here. Well, that's simply because we haven't connected or blended the back and the top. And that's what we're gonna do now. So what's gonna happen now is we're gonna start to look at what's here. And that is what's blending this into this. That's what's gonna get rid of that weight line, is all these little hairs. And that's weight, that's basically weight, that's what that is. When you remove that weight, that creates layers. And that's what layering basically is. It's removing weight and also blending in. What you don't want to do, and what you really need to be careful about, is you don't ever want to cut this the same length as down here when you're trying to keep the length. You want to follow the head shape and the contour of the head, because if you take this and you cut this really short, guess what? Say goodbye to all that length and you just butchered the haircut. And now what you have to do is you have to cut the top really short, and your client is going to have hair sticking up over here, and it's just going to look horrible. So as you can see, we're making a transition going from shorter to longer. This is the round of the head back here, so we're making this fuller in through here to create a little more volume. Now it's time to connect the top, and this is the most important part. I do this in all my haircuts. Make sure the elbow is level, and here's my guide, and now I'm just cutting straight across. That also will eliminate any weight lines, but that is also connecting. I'm a big advocate for making sure that this area is really blended, because, you know, you're back here, eventually you got to move forward. And if the haircut is off balance, you're going to have all sorts of jacked up shelves and, you know, chomps in the hair that you don't want. And it's the best way to prevent it is to not do that. So now I like to call this kind of like the mohawk section on top. We're just going to be working down the middle. We've already cut the back and blended. We don't have to worry about that. And now we can move forward. And I'm literally just cutting the hair, working straight this way. I'm not going into the corners. I'm not going into the sides. I just want to make sure everything is balanced in through here. Now, as you can see, this is how long the hair is. It goes down to just past the eyebrow, because I want to leave a little bit of length. So now that the top is done, we have the corners and the sides. And I always cut hair this way, because to me, it's the best way to connect a haircut. So I'm not looking to go, again, super short on the sides, but what I do want to do is make sure that it's not super heavy. And it is okay to have the hair a little tapered going around the over the ear, but if you don't want to, that's totally cool. But there's the foundation or the base that we cut before, and now we're just connecting into that. So I'm taking section by section, comb the hair straight out from the head, and now I like to hold on to this piece right here so we don't lose our guide. Get that out of the way, and then we're going to comb, lock the hair in. There's the base, which we're not going to cut. See how now it just balances it all out? That's what we really need to do. We're cutting everything on top of the foundation. Because remember, if you screw the foundation up, that's it. The haircut is done, or the house is going to fall apart. I think you guys understand what I'm saying. So now I'm combing the hair a bit forward this way. And what's important when it comes to men's haircuts or even women's haircuts around this area is that if the hair is really fine, you don't want to just cut those little fine sections, because what's going to happen is you may layer it too much, and I've seen that before. If you over layer the hair, it'll actually end up looking thinner. So be very careful. That's why I always like to you have to create the thickness yourself, right? You have to create it. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the hair straight out, and I'm going to cross-check and also remove any weight horizontally. Again, this is going to help us keep everything balanced and even. Again, we're shooting for even Steven here. And now, I may get some comments. Could a woman wear this haircut? Sure. Why not? There's no reason why a woman can't wear this haircut. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And again, there's the guide right there from before. We're going to hold on to this. And now we're going to work and comb all the way straight out. And there's our base from before. And we're going to cut everything over the base. Because what is that? That's the weight. And that's what we need to get rid of. So don't forget, make sure you go all the way down here. Because if you miss it, you're going to have a bunch of longer pieces and stuff. And you're going to be going, where'd all this hair come from? So make sure that you do go all the way down to the very, very bottom, at least so you can see the section. So now, as you can see here, we can see everything from all the way down to the baseline. And also, when it comes to body positioning, you want to make sure that you are standing in a spot. You know, I could basically stand in this one position right here, this one spot at least, and do an entire haircut without me having to move much. And the reason is because, you know, if you understand body positioning, then you don't have to worry about putting yourself in an awkward position. So now what I'm doing is I'm combing everything straight out, and I'm starting to see a bunch of weight and longer pieces that were from before here. And this is the perfect time to get rid of them. And like I mentioned before, if that sideburn area gets a little bit heavy, then just go in there and get rid of that. But you want to make sure that the hair has a flow to it. That's what's also really important, is a flow. Because if the hair doesn't flow right, or it's not layered properly, then it's definitely gonna show. All right, so once again, now I'm gonna go back in, make sure everything is completely balanced and even in through here. And then the front, the very, very front. Don't forget, we can't forget all this. So the best thing to do is let's comb all this straight down. And I want to begin to start checking my balance into here. So same thing like this on the other side, a few longer pieces from the sideburn. Just get rid of those. Just get rid of those. The best thing to do when it comes to that stuff is you don't even need your hands. Just use the comb and cut it. So what I'm doing is I'm combing straight down, cutting straight across, and I'm angling everything to make sure that there's no gaps, no holes. We want to make sure that everything is well balanced. And also we're going to check the length throughout the entire haircut, especially in through here. And if you feel something, if it's longer, most likely it is. Now what I like to do is just go straight down the middle of the hair, or the head up top here, and just make sure everything is even and perfectly connected together. So this haircut, yes, it's a bit on the fuller side. I wouldn't say it's like a long haircut for guys, but it also has some fullness to it, right? And there's still some length. So the best way to check these types of haircuts are you lock your fingers in like this, and you simply just pull straight out from the head. And that's the best way to check to make sure everything is even and we're feeling and looking pretty good. So now let's blow dry this real quick and we'll see what we got. So before I blow dry this, the best technique really is to just use your hands for something like this. If you want to get a little volume, just lift your hands like this and hit it with the blow dryer. I have a lot of videos about how to blow dry hair, how to get more volume, so you can browse my channel. But basically, I'm going to use my hands throughout the whole thing. Okay guys, here's the finished result. I really have no product in the hair, but I just want to show you guys a few different things or a few different ways you can style it. You can go with kind of a side part if you wanted to. You can kind of bring this back a little bit. You can bring this back. You can kind of use a paste or a light kind of cream, like shadow or something, to kind of tame this back. You know, if you want, you can go a little bit on the fuller side into here to create some texture and some volume, as you see there. You could also, believe it or not, if you want to wear it a little more disheveled, you can wear the hair a bit forward if you want, you know, kind of like that, you know, TikTok haircut everybody has where it's a bit longer in the front. You could bring this all down and just kind of spike it up a little bit or just flip it up right into here. Again, like a very, very popular, I don't know, it's kind of a mess, but everybody seems to want their hair to look like that. Here's the back. I get a lot of people saying, oh, show me the back. It just goes in nicely tapered in through here. The most important part, again, is this. As you can see, look how long this is right here compared to this. This is about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. And this is about like probably, I don't know, 4 inches in length right in through here, but it's all tapered up. But without that fullness, this would be completely flat and it would look ridiculous. So if you are wearing a little bit of a longer hairstyle, you have to make sure that you have something here to make up for it. And also from the profile, it just looks really, really good too. You know, this kind of reminds me of like Robert Pattinson, I think, a little bit as well. But there are a lot of guys who like to have their hair a bit on the longer side, but if you want to have a bit of a more messy look, something a little more disheveled, something more textured, then definitely this is something you should check out. Wow, I feel like I just gave birth to a mannequin. Jeez, that was a big job here, guys. But anyway, let me know in the comments below if you found this video helpful. Again, I know this was a longer video, but I want to do more of a step-by-step tutorial for you guys. Let me know if you found this helpful, and I guess that's pretty much it. Don't forget to follow me on TikTok, TheSalonGuy, also on Instagram, and Black Friday is around the corner, and we're doing a huge 30% off deal for Black Friday, which is awesome. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time for more videos with The Salon Guy.